the chat, so I figure I'd just go ahead and get this started a little early, fix what hair I have left while we see if some more people follow us. But thanks for tuning in. We'll get talking about this C5 here pretty quickly. Wait, while we're waiting, because I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat, oh, what in the world? See if I can bring it up on my television. I don't know if that's going to work, but either way, we're still just a couple of minutes early, but as the title indicated, that is a C5 Corvette base model. It used to have the big piece of glass on the back. It no longer has that. And my Targa top still comes off, which is really kind of cool to have a Z06 basically looking car with a Targa roof that comes off. Now, I'm not the one that came up with that idea, okay? The originally where that idea, I believe, came from. Hey, Cole, how's it going, buddy? Hopefully that shines a little more. That's not great. That's not great at all. But anyways, I'm not the one that originally came up with the conversion for this. Caravaggio, a company out of Canada, I believe is where they're at, is the ones that first started doing the Targa Z06 conversion. That's where I kind of came up with the idea of doing my own conversion. To my best knowledge, they built 64 of those cars, making this number 65, although mine is drastically different. Yes, absolutely, aluminum block. So basically in this video, because I have invested nearly 20 years into building this car, it's gone through a lot of changes over those years, is to kind of go through it and answer your guys' questions, because not only is it a boosted car, it is supercharged, it is mini tubbed. The wheels on it currently in the rear are 13 inches wide. I run 325s on the car, and I can run a 345 with another set of wheels that I have. Do I have halos? No, I do not. I do have specialty headlights though. Car's horsepower 2000? No, it is. So the car's horsepower is right above or below, within, I don't know, give it 10 horsepower of right at 700 horsepower. It is an LS6 engine. It was a single supercharger. It is pro-charged. So it is a factory LS6 engine. I ran it boosted for a number of years on a factory crate engine. I put probably 60,000 miles on that boosted engine. I took it all apart. I took the engine to HBR Competition Engines in Las Vegas, Nevada, where they built the engine for it, and I put it back in. And yes, it is supercharged. It has got a pro charger on it. So any place that you guys want to start or ask questions about, or because the car is vastly different than most C5s that you're going to see, I guess we'll just get cracking, right? May have to see if I can flip this camera around. Yep. Okay. So let's start in the very, very front of the car. And in the very front of the car, you're going to see it's already different. I got the couple of bug eyes right there. And And if I turn them on, you will see they are bright stinking yellow. And that's just a little bit of a salute to our European motorhead counterparts. That is the whole reason for those lights. Now the lights, can I drift? Yes, I can drift. I'm not gonna say I'm super proficient at it, but yes, I can drift. Okay, so the front fog lights and the that I put in the license plate frame, those are from a Freightliner Century class, probably 1999 through like 2006 is what year model they're from. And then basically I rewired the factory lamps that used to be sitting over there, which is now, oh, I'm not sure you guys can see that. Hold on. I came prepared. I thought I did. Which you will see, that's one of my oil coolers that's in there now, which is why the factory fog lamps are no longer in there. So those are from a Freightliner Century class semi-truck. The hood is from Spectre Works, and I don't know that they make it anymore. I've had to rebuild this hood a ton of times. Liverpool, United Kingdom. We are in Texas. Man, welcome. I just jumped in, but C5s are made through 97 to 2004. That is correct. I was talking about Freightliner semi trucks, which is where my double bug eye fog lamps are from. And if you hadn't seen those, here, I'll turn them back on real quick. So, a lot of people like those. I think they're pretty cool. Okay, moving along. Well, somewhat moving along. Before we get quite that far, let me detach this from the bottom. Okay, that's gonna make it a little bit better. All right, so before we go moving along, the headlights themselves, it's so I do not have factory headlamps. I actually have LED bars that are inside of there. Those are from a company called Corvette Innovations. These were great when they first came out. I think Night Drive has far surpassed them. I've done a number of the Night Drive kits on Corvettes. It's a far superior kit. But at the time, this was really the only option that was available on the market. So that's what I went with. All right. Let me grab a flashlight because this is some of the important stuff. Okay. All right, so the oil cooler over on the other side of the car. Well, underneath the car, I have built my own cooling system for it. Okay. And basically, it draws in air underneath and through these vents where you'll see these dividers. These go all the way up to the very top of the frame, closing it off so it doesn't give the air anywhere else to go but through the radiator, which is really super important when you're cooling a car, especially a supercharged car. And then you'll see down in here, I have a pair of Mishimiro, I believe they are like 10-inch fans, but they move, I think they move about 1,200 CFMs a piece, which is quite a bit. All right. Closing it off to the radiator. That is my own panel that I built to put in there to seal that off so that all the air can escape and it has to go through the radiator. Down behind my DeWitt's radiator is I have a pair of Be Cool fans, and those are 24, I don't know if that's correct. I think they're 2200 CFMs. So this car moves a ton of air through the cooling system, and it just helps keep the engine that much cooler. Now, some of the differences that were done to this particular engine when it was rebuilt was we went with higher compression. So this is a 11-to-1 compression engine as opposed to the 10-5-to-1. The heads are ported and polished. It's got a Texas Speed cam in it. It's the hardened camshaft. Wiseco pistons, rotating assembly, our Pro Charger over there. I keep that K&N filter right there on the other valve cover just so that this engine can breathe more. Supercharged engine, it has to breathe. Now, because of all the fans and the number of amps that this car draws when those fans are on, I run a, see if I can show it to you. That's a DC power alternator. Not sure if that came up really clear, but that's a 250 amp alternator. And between all the fans up here, and we haven't even got to the back of the car because there's cooling fans back there as well to keep the temperatures down on this. I had to go with the higher amp alternator, so that's why that one is there. Now, let's see, what else? There's fuel pressure regulator to feed the fuel system, which is running on twin Lonnie's pumps that are in the fuel tank. Those twin Lonnie's pumps, only one of them runs when the ignition is on, but when you hit 3 PSI of boost, there is a binary switch that is sitting right back there. You can probably just see the top of the plug going to it. And when that sees 3 PSI, it'll turn on the second pump and it'll run 480 liters of fuel an hour. So you don't have to worry about starving an engine from fuel. So that's basically how my fuel setup is done. And then that is all connected by a Racetronics harness. One other thing I want to get to. I almost can't believe I almost forgot this. I even reached out to the owner of this company and even asked him because I've used his product for a long time. I had one in this car previously. I had some grounding issues which made it short out. Not his fault at all. It was totally the frickin' car. If you saw my last video on the electrical issues I was having, no, because I had some really bad grounds. But there's this company called Sac City Corvette, right? And I'm going to show you this module that they make. First of all, there is their business card. I hope that focuses well. But basically, I have a remote control transponder right here. I have a ground wire, comes over to my battery. I has a positive wire that goes right into my fuse box here. And then one of my fan relays comes out, just so you can see, it's called a Cool It V3. So that relay comes out, his relay goes in place. And check this out. So if I just want to come in, click the key on, and hit that button, all my engine fans turn on by remote control. You don't have to have the AC on to run your secondary fan. Honestly, I'm going to tell you, I recommend this to everybody that has a C5 Corvette. If you want those temperatures to stay down, especially in those super hot months, That's that's a that's a nice item to have, and it's less than 150 bucks. Like I ordered one 10 days ago, and I just happened to check the tracking. It's been sitting in my mailbox for days. So, anyways, oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Um, that's the fuel system. That is the cooling system. That is the engine. I guess we can go probably to the rear part of this car. Okay, so to most people looking at it, you think it's a C5 Z06 because it's got the brake ducts, it's got the fixed roof profile, it doesn't have the coupe profile. But what you've not seen before is my roof. Amazing how bad your depth perception is while you're on live video. My roof actually still comes off of this car. So I have a Z06 profile. I still have a Targa roof. As I mentioned, this isn't something I came up with. This is something Caravaggio had done years ago when the C5 had first came out. I just kind of figured out how it was done and mimicked it, and it really wasn't difficult. Basically, I ended up having to get a bunch of parts from a wrecked convertible. I took the rear frame off of, wow, is that autofocus terrible. Anyways, I took the rear frame off of it, split my frame, put the top on. Now I'm talking about the frame. I'm not talking about the frame of the vehicle. I'm talking about the tub frame, which is just nothing but SMC fiberglass. I will keep my hands out of there because it is making it freak out. Big time freak out. I bought a roof panel basically for a Z06. Then I cut it. I left the original hardware on the inside for the target top, so you still can take the target top off if you want to, but now you have a Z06 FRC fixed roof coupe. I don't know, call it whatever you want. Hold on. We actually kind of skipped ahead a little bit. Okay, down bottom. These are iForged Aero wheels. They are true three-piece wheels. Behind them is C6 Z06 brakes, Z6 Z06 calipers. You will notice that the calipers have been polished, but they've also been shaved. I've taken quite a bit of weight off of those calipers, as well as I allowed, since that is an aircraft aluminum wheel, it does flex. And when I first started doing some competitive racing, my seats. Hold on, I'm not going to pass you up, Barry. I'll go over those in just a second. You'll like them. They're way cool. But anyways, my wheels were touching the calipers in a really heavy turn, so I basically shaved them, polished them, what have you. And to do that, I first got the engineer drawing, so I knew just exactly how thick they were. I wanted to make sure I wasn't grinding into any channels where the brake fluid goes. Okay, so Barry wants to know about the seats. Sometimes you just gotta flip the dang lock. Okay, so these seats are the Corbeau A4, and they are sitting on the Corbeau, is it Corbeau or Corbeau? I don't know how you pronounce it. But either way, it is sitting on the manual slider tracks. Now here's the big difference with these seats. And the big difference is, if you follow seat technology, you know that a Corbeau seat, at least that the A4, is not SFI approved for road racing. So you're really not supposed to be using it within a competitive environment. So what we did with these seats, or what I did differently, was first is that completely stripped the seats down to nothing but the frames. We doubled up on the hinges as far as the plates on both sides. So when you go to release these seats, like, you really need to release them because they are heavily hinged there. which makes them a lot more stable, especially if you should ever get in any type of an accident. These used to be the black suede with black stitching. When we redid them, we went with a top grade cowhide. I can't remember what the ounce is on the cowhide. And then the plaid that you see, that is marine grade, and it's not vinyl. It's it's like a tweed. Super expensive stuff. I was a little sticker shocked when we were done with the seats as to what they cost, but then I had them do the red stitching. So basically, they're Corvette A4s, really stiff frames, top grain cowhide, leather with marine grade centers in them, so that you don't have to worry about any staining or stuff like that. You can wash them with a wet sponge. So I hope that answers your question. Now, additionally, on the inside, this is pretty cool. So I put an outlet here for people to be able to plug a phone in, or I can plug a camera in, what have you. And basically that is just wired down to the fuse panel that's down below the footwell here. Grounded it right to the frame and just did nothing but run a fused hot wire down. So that's a pretty nice little touch to throw in your car. Makes it really nice. Other than that, it's fairly factory, minus the 5-point harnesses, the roll cage, which any recommendations for LS2 mechanics near Napa, California? I need an oil pickup tube installed. No, I can't say as though I know anyone in, well, I know a girl in Napa Valley, but you don't want her working on your car. Believe me, it'll never run again. Let's see. So we were talking about iForged Aero wheels. Those are 2 to 3 piece wheels up on the shelf in the garage, like way over here. This is a nice thing about a 3-piece wheel. You guys didn't know this. You can buy different lips for different widths and what have you, and just have them on hand. If you damage one, like, you can always fix your wheels. Okay, over to the driver's side. Let's see. So basically my boost gauge is a glow shift. Same thing with my fuel pressure. These are nice, just change the color at the push of a button. I have a wide range of colors you can go to. And then they do this whole glow effect where they, well, I think that one is doing it. They're pretty cool. I like glow shifts. We already talked about the fan controller. You can hear them turn on. And then my energy steering wheel. I like a D-shaped steering wheel myself. It's gives you a little more clearance below here, but that is detachable. Makes it a whole lot easier to get in the car, and especially if you just got to work on something. And shut that off. And if you've never, well, hold on, let's do this again. Prime that fuel pump. All right, that's too loud and noisy. Okay. All right, let's continue. My trunk is not open. Well, I suppose before we get to the trunk, let's talk about the back end here. So, same thing in the back. Z06 C6 Z06 brakes and rotors. Again, I forged wheels. That is a 13-inch wide wheel that is sitting on a 325 Continental Contact 6. I don't know why that is. I usually have Michelin's. Actually, Michelin that are up there. And the reason that those fit underneath this car is, well, if I had my flashlight, by the way, that's my baseball collection. I am using Lonnie's twin pumps running on a Racetronics harness. Okay, so down inside the trunk, basically what I did was I cut the wheel wells right here. I moved them over 3 inches. I tack screwed them down. I bonded them with 3M Auto Mix, and then now where I'm gonna get some people in some trouble here, because I'm gonna say I refiberglassed the strip. Corvettes are not made of fiberglass, and you cannot use fiberglass resin on a Corvette. I need to make that apparently clear before anybody tries this. You have to use what's called SMC resin. Then my roll cage goes down to the rear frame, connects behind the seat, crossbar, loop, so on and so forth. And I still haven't finished up the interior in the back from where I made the conversion, because as you can imagine, when I converted this from being a coupe to a fixed roof, some of the paneling is different, and I just haven't picked them up yet to put them in. Now, moving right along, what's different on this car is that you're going to see I have outboard exhaust. And that's just a nice baloney cut. You really can't see it from the side, except that tiny, tiny little bit. That actually kind of bugs me. I can correct that. That's all you can really see. That is a MagnaFlow muffler, and it is strictly a 2.5-inch inlet outlet. And if you look up inside of there, you will see the outlet. And then we put a 3-inch tip on there. We did a baloney cut to give it that nice shape, and we moved the exhaust to the outboard edges because I had deleted the sump in the trunk and just put in a carbon fiber flat panel, in which case I put these triangle brackets in here, and I have a derail, and I think this is a 60,000 BTU transmission cooling fan, transmission cooler. So it's got its own fan, it's got its own cooling unit. Wish I could show that just a little bit better. I gotta crawl across the floor here. There you go. And you can see where the transmission lines go. So basically, let's see if I can explain this without. So basically, to explain this is my transmission comes, my return feeds into that cooler, recirculates, goes back to the very front of the car. As you will see that my transmission lines are still connected. If you hadn't noticed, that is an automatic transmission. It's a custom built 4L60. I had it built in Las Vegas. You can imagine there's a lot of race shops around there. But my transmission cooler goes to the radiator, the heat exchanger, goes all the way down the car to the cooler in the back, loops back around, goes back into the transmission, in which case that hot fluid comes out, goes right back up again, and all those lines are run through the transmission. No, that's not right. Well, I guess you could still call it a transmission tunnel, but it's really your torque tube tunnel is where all those lines run to. And then for the engine itself, as far as its additional cooling goes, I don't think you're actually going to be able to see it, but I basically just have the block down there and the oil lines come off, they go to the front, they get cooled through that oil cooler and that oil cooler back to the engine. Like the car holds a ton of fluid. Matter of fact, we're not even done talking about the transmission yet. As most of you know, that 4L60, it likes to make a lot of frickin' heat. And transmissions, they don't like a whole lot of frickin' heat. So that's why my transmission cooling system is so large, and I'm still not done showing it to you. I hope that you can see this underneath the car. Maybe not the best angle. Actually, the back may be the best angle. I don't know that you can really even see it. Yes, you can. Let me see if I can focus on it. No, it doesn't want to. There it is. Okay. So that big lump that you see hanging down there, that is my transmission pan, and it is a oversized pan with cooling fins on the bottom of it, which pick up any of the air that is traveling underneath the car and also help. By the way, that's who builds that transmission cooler. That's a derail. And you can mount it wherever you want to. That's just where I have mine mounted. Works out pretty darn well. All right. Suspension wise, well, I have a whole crate up there that has all my racing suspension in it. And since our roads here are pretty crappy, we're not going to talk about that, but I still have coilover suspension. Those are BC Racing's BR series. I don't necessarily think they're fantastic, but they do pretty good on the street, I guess, for what they are. And I don't have to go wearing out my Pafot. How many quarts of which fluid are we talking about? So transmission fluid, it is 4, 8, 12. I think it is nearly 16 quarts of transmission fluid, almost 4 gallons in total. It's a lot. It's a whole heck of a lot. Attached to that, that you probably also caught a glimpse of, is, I have to do this through the wheel well, I-box sway bars, metal end links. Yeah, that's quite a bit. It is quite a bit. As a matter of fact, I just changed the oil in the car, and the oil capacity is 9.5 quarts. And I know that because I thought it was 9 quarts and I checked it again today. I was half a quart low. And as far as the, I don't know what I did with it. I probably put it back on the shelf. So for the race engine, I run 15W50. When I first got the engine done, we were running it on driven race oil, which is 2050. 2050 is pretty hard to come by in most applications. So once it got through its break-in period and what have you, I switched it to Mobil 1 1550, and that's the oil that I do run in this car. Let's see. Any other questions about it? Oh, you know what? I guess I'm still not done. I forget so much stuff on this car. So because there's so much damn transmission fluid in this thing, inside of there, I have basically it's an overflow mechanism or an overflow. Yeah, it's really hard to show it. It doesn't want to show up real well. But basically, I have a baffled reservoir in there that is connected to the vent line on the transmission. So any transmission fluid that does expand because there is so much, uh, it goes to that tank. And then what it'll do is, as the transmission cools down, it'll suck it back in because otherwise it'll just spit it all over the ground. So you do have to account for that much expansion. Now, additionally, down inside here, that is my fuel filter, and that's a Aeromotive 10 micron multi-disc filter. And basically what you do is you just unbolt it, you unscrew it, you take it out of the car, take it over to your parts washer, you wash it all out, you put it back in, but it goes into there before it gets to your fuel pressure regulator and then on to the engine. Almost forgot about that little one. And then didn't really see them real well, but this was this car's entry into LS Fest Autocross, where it did quite well. In 2019, we went back again. I think that was that is 2021. And then we also did muscle cars at the strip participant. That was 2019. Didn't do so well there. I think I broke the torque tube. Barry, this is running strictly on the factory tuned PCM that was tuned with HP tuners. It's not so radical that I really needed to go with a standalone, and I don't really have any intention of ever getting to that point. So the factory computer is what runs it, and it runs flawless. I know a lot of people build cars like this, and I'm missing a piece to my tripod. I know a lot of people build cars like this, and probably the first thing that we all worry about is probably reliability. I know that's probably my number one issue. But the main focus when I built this car, so besides racing and just taking it out and enjoying it and what have you, for nearly 20 some years, that was my business car. Like that was my transportation and my business. And my business territory was from basically California to Houston, Texas, and straight up. That's where I would drive to. So in my line of business that I was in, which was heavy collision repair, semi-trucks, buses, celebrity coaches, Prevost, Van Hool, Volvos, like you name it. All the city buses, the new flyers, what have you. Like those things are a ton of money. When they get wrecked, we fix them. They don't total those, but so I could get around really quickly. Well, that's how I got around really quickly. So used to be, so my office was in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I used to have to travel to Reno, Nevada, because I had a city transit unit up there that was part of the RTC, and every time they wrecked a bus, I had to go up there. Well, it's 493 miles there, it's 493 miles back, and there is really nothing in between except cactus and a submarine base in the middle of the desert. Make sense of it. I can never figure it out. And a big old ammo dump. Yeah, there's that too. So get out there on 95 and start heading towards Reno, and Like it was nothing to set the cruise at 120, 130. And it was a day trip. I'd leave 6 in the morning. I'd be back in my office by 6 at night driving that. So not only was it fun to, build a high horsepower car, but then making it reliable so that you could use it for that type of transportation. Anytime I had to go to Phoenix, Northern California, that was a car I took, just made a nice quick trip out of it. So, oh, hey, here's another feature. Hold on. I didn't show you this one. I won't show it to you open, but I'll show it to you closed. It's my valet shade. So that's controlled from the inside of the car. Basically, when I go somewhere, if I park the car, I put the shade down. What's good? I can't say that on YouTube. I'll get a strike for it. So anyhow, if you guys have any other questions about it, how I built it, anything else, like, hey, ask away. Like, I'd much rather share this information with you guys than to not share it with you. And if you have a C5, you know what? Here's a tip. This is one I even forgot about. What wheels? Those are iForge arrows. I don't know that you can get iForge anymore, but that is a true aircraft aluminum 3-piece. I think it's aircraft 403. They're super light, but it's a 3-piece wheel. That is a 19 by 11 front. That is a 19 by 13 rear. Heck no. Oh, thank you. I like it. It's been a pretty fun build. So out of all the things that I probably one of the things on this car that if I had to go back and do it again when I built this, I would probably not have retained the target top with the fixed roof. I probably would have gone with just a straight fixed roof, which was only the difference of 3 more bolts across there, which is really not a big deal, and a rubber seal. That was about it. Now this is a little different. So this is Sikaflex 221. I don't know why exactly GM decided to leave that big gap open. I mean, we know it's got a rain gutter up here. It's got a rain gutter here. So when it does rain, it drains just fine, but I don't know why they didn't do that. So I leveled those with Sikaflex. Oh, you're welcome, Barry. And we also have race day electronics in here, 2 headsets, because especially if you're on a rally and you're going pretty good speeds, like even though the car is fully sound deadened, it does get pretty hard to hear inside of the car itself. Now, as far as the rest of the creature comforts, and Barry, I guess this goes back to your question as well. Absolutely everything in this car works. Absolutely. The only thing that does not work is what's called the SCM system, which pertains to your seats, because as you can imagine, this car no longer has power seats in it. It's got the custom built seat. So other than that, absolutely everything works in this car. That was the other thing when I built it was, it's going to have air conditioning. And it will freeze you. So anyhow, guys got any other questions? I'd be more than happy to answer them. What rear end ratio? So my rear end gear ratio is the 321 gear ratio. and I don't have any problems at all cruising this car at 140, 150 miles an hour. Like it'll cruise all day long. Won't overheat, won't build heat, air conditioning running, you name it, stereo on, like enjoying the drive. You can run 140 miles an hour through the center of Nevada. At least I was able to. I didn't get any whammies. Ain't nobody out there. What are you gonna hit, a cactus or a submarine base? Um, but you you know, when I went to Reno, like it was nothing to set the cruise at 120, 130, 140 and just cruise along. Beyond that, mm, I don't know that I've had it. I don't know. I've had it up to like 160 something, a number of years ago, but that was on a track condition. Matter of fact, that was at Willow Springs, is where it was, if I remember correctly, across that long back stretch on Willow Springs, the sketchy one, that you better know where the dip is. Um, but other than that, like, I don't know. I don't think I've taken it really much up past that. I'll tell you this, at 140, it's got plenty more RPMs and a lot more pedal to go. So it, it would be pretty cool to take it out to a salt flat. That would be cool. That would be really cool to take it to a salt flat and see what it will do. Yes, the downside is, though, the faster you go, although my rat trap cooling system in the front does help drastically with pulling the car down. Um, that helps quite a bit, but the C5 Corvette past 150 miles an hour, it does get very front end light. It likes to build an air charge underneath it. So that was even something else that you reminded me of that I'm going to do to this when I have it in the shop. And what I'm going to do, oh, you know what? It's another part of the car I forgot to tell you guys about. So the hood is vented, and one of the things that I'm going to do while I have it in the shop is I'm going to go ahead and perforate the tops of the wheel well so it gets that air charge out of there. And because the fins are slanted back, what that does is creates a venturi effect. So as air is passing over this, it is drawing a vacuum out, which is the exact same thing that my hood does. And this lines up right here on the engine. So as the cooling system is drawing that air through, the venturi effect going across the top of those hood fins is drawing that air right out, eliminating some of the air charge underneath the car. So it'll probably pick up some more stability, I would think. But at my age, I'm not really driving that fast anymore. There does come a point in time where you have to realize that your your driving abilities do start to kind of tick down as you get older, and you need to be aware of that. What horsepower are you making, Barry? Plus or minus 10 horsepower, right at 700 at full boost, which is 7 psi, which the car rarely sees. Matter of fact, I took it out for a rip yesterday and really got onto it and only saw 5.5 psi. So it still had a lot of RPMs to go before I hit 7. But like I was saying, the older I get, the less your reaction time is. And quite frankly, the streets ain't made for that type of driving. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'll get out and hammer on it if there's no other cars around, and no chance that anybody else can, be involved in my stupidity. Yeah, then I'll jump on it. But otherwise, in your day-to-day traffic, what have you, like, I don't mess around too very much. Like, the world's just changed when it comes to these cars. Like, I don't know, maybe some of you guys can tell me what you think, but I'm in my 50s now, okay? And I can't stand driving down the road and having some cop get behind me because he thinks I'm going to do a frickin' burnout like I'm a 17-year-old dipshit. Like, it's getting really old. It's getting really old. Or they just follow you forever because, it looks like a fast car. You can see the roll cage in the back window. Like, you know, it's the assumption, but I don't know. Car culture has just really changed in it. And it has not been for the better, in my opinion. Like, glad to see more people in it, but I don't think it's been fantastic for car culture as a whole. Like, I don't, I don't know. You guys go to Cars and Coffee probably as much as I do. I don't want to see the car that you bought off the factory showroom floor. I'm not impressed with it. You know, what's custom? The 3 points of interest that the F&I girl stuck on your loan while you were blindsided by the car that you emotionally fell in love with. Like, I'm not interested in seeing your factory showroom car. Like, I can go see your factory showroom car at the showroom. I don't know. Just an opinion. May not be a popular one, but I'm tired of seeing bananas on bumpers. Like, it's a little old. You know, do something with it, you know, besides finance and pay for it. Anyways, guys, I want to thank every single one of you for tuning in. Be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you would, and we'll catch you next time. If you have any more questions, just ask them down in one of the other videos and I'll get back to you. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate all of you. Have a good night.